Good morning, my tribe. Everyone out there in YouTube land, my XRP army. Hope you're all doing well this morning. Fall must be here because it's staying darker longer in the mornings. I wanted to touch again on inflation, and I hope all of you really understand the machinations of it and how it works and how it's insidious and it inserts itself into your life in every aspect of your life, and what causes it and what protects from it. Because what's coming doesn't care if you're prepared for it. It couldn't care less. It's just coming. There's a formula to the whole financial world. Inflate, pop, buy up all the mess at a penny on the dollar. Inflate, pop, buy up all the mess at pennies on the dollar. And this has gone on probably since the beginning of humanity, but particularly since the beginning of the Medici family, who began the first banks. Not just an individual bank. They had banks in different cities. And because they did, they were able to send a piece of paper to another bank saying that this transaction was happening and you needed to take X amount of gold from this pile and put it over in this pile. And that made commerce a whole lot easier, because merchants no longer had to send people with big bags of coins, which made them targets for theft. They could send them with a piece of paper that had a stamp on it and said, do this, do that. And it made it much more safe for commerce to occur over distances. But that morphed into power. And the cycle since then has always been the same. Inflate, 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 pop, buy everything up at cheap. The people that have resources buy everything up on the cheap. And then they rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. Now, mind you, they don't want to kill the goose that lays the golden egg, but the goose dying is just part of the math. You can't get away from it. It eventually dies. And every single fiat currency system / central bank, even without a central bank, fiat currency systems hyperinflate. But every single one of these systems that exist today on the face of the earth are in some stage of inflation, hyperinflation, repudiation. And every single one in history has always had the same exact result. And that is, they were initiated, they begin inflation slowly, some slower than others, and then they quickly hit. They don't quickly. At some point, hyperinflation sets in, and it's when the majority of the people understand what's going on. And then hyperinflation kicks in, and then they repudiate the currency and start another currency, the new currency, which replaces the old, and they wash away their debt. And the people that held these currencies, usually the poorer people, lost everything. The rich don't hoard piles of cash. They have assets. They own apartments. They own planes and boats and things like that. And so the poor people get wiped out, and the rich people come along, and because they have these assets, they can borrow in the new system, and they use that leverage to pick up your assets at distressed rates. That's simply the formula. There are no historical examples of anyone getting away that have those two items, fiat currencies and central banks. And everyone that is on the face of the earth today is in one of those stages at any given time. The inflation takes some amount of time. Some nations like Great Britain got away with it for a lot longer because they had an empire. They were taking from other places around the world, bringing it home. The United States kind of did the same thing with the with our currency after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement. But we implemented the Federal Reserve in 1913, which is not, the Federal Reserve is not federal and it has no reserves. It is a central bank. It is owned by private individuals and they operate on a for-profit basis. The profit is inflation. And it goes on for a period of time until 1971 when Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard and we no longer had a two-tiered currency system. All the silver certificates went away. The US dollar was no longer convertible into silver. I don't think the greenbacks ever were. The Federal Reserve notes, the silverbacks were. You could go into a bank, trade them over. But that went away in 1971, and since then our inflation has been ramping up. We're going to get to the point where it's hyperinflation, and the US dollar will become valueless, and eventually people will refuse to use it anymore. They're going to kick that can down the road with stable coins. How long? I don't know. But there will be difficulties along the way. And are you prepared for those difficulties? Assets. Interest-bearing or return-bearing are best. Like I say, you got to make money your slave. It needs to go out, gather more of itself, and bring it back to you, hopefully ahead of the inflation rate. Not the official inflation rate, the real inflation rate. Does XRP have the ability to protect you from inflation? I believe it does, because it's a fixed quantity and it will have value, and the value is going to rapidly increase. So it could be a store of value like Bitcoin is acting now. I want you to look into these things. I want you to read a book by Fernando Aguirre called Surviving the Economic Collapse. He wrote about it from Argentina. There's another good book. I can't remember the name of the author. It was a middle-class woman who wrote a book after World War I. It was called a middle-class woman in Vienna circa 1918 to 1924 or something like that. And it was just her diaries, and there were gaps in it. But it was how she survived hyperinflation in Austria post-World War I and how difficult it was. You read those things, those accounts, and you begin to understand what hyperinflation looks like and what it does to things. I want you to look into that yourself. Do your own research. Educate yourself. Make your own decisions. What is best for you. And hey, XRP, $100,000 today, please. It's not all doom and gloom, folks. If you understand these things are coming, you can protect yourself from it. Yes, you can. And you can even do well. That sounds horrible, maybe, that you would ride higher because other people are losing stuff and you'll be able to pick up their stuff at a penny on the dollar. Well, you can. And if you don't, someone else will. The difference being you might be of the mind to help people along the way. And others wouldn't care. They just walk on top of them. I'm hoping that's what happens with you. Think about that, research it, understand it, and take steps to mitigate the effects of high inflation, hyperinflation on your life. God bless you all. Take care, and I'm out.